But that leads me to my main talking point tonight, which is why is this administration so afraid to talk about Iran? I mean, through the last week, I've been waiting for them to at least be listed as some sort of co-conspirator in this Israel debacle, and nothing. So I started doing some digging. Why in the world would anyone here in America have any reservations about even considering that a country that shouts death to America openly in their streets as possibly being involved in another terrorist attack? I mean, look, these guys funded the bulk of munitions used against troops in Iraq while I was there. I know, Iran is a bunch of bad dudes. We know from the Wall Street Journal reporting that Iran was almost certainly involved with this. State Department won't admit it. And it may even go back as far as 2 years. And the more I dug, the more I found out. This is from CNN back in June. Biden's Iran envoy placed on leave after security clearance suspended amid an investigation into possible mishandling of classified material, sources say. Weird. I never heard about his house being raided like they did Donald Trump, but whatevs. But this guy, Robert Malley, the Biden's special envoy to Iran, what was his main job? Not only under Joe Biden, but also under Barack Obama, the Iran nuclear deal. You know, the one that Trump pulled out of because basically it was just a pathway for Iran to obtain a nuclear weapon. Now, oddly enough, according to that same CNN article, quote, Malley also has been friends with Secretary Blinken for decades, dating back to their days as teenage classmates in Paris. Think about that for a sec. What was his security clearance actually suspended for, though? That's what for right there. This is an article from 12 days ago. According to multiple reports, Rob Malley was at the center of a high-level Iranian spy ring in our own government. And we're just now finding out about this? Like, this is not anywhere in mainstream media. This was written by a veteran reporter from the Wall Street Journal, corroborated by the London-based independent journalist team called Iran International. It took them months to verify this information, and they backed it up with a trove of emails from Iranian government channels. So I'm taking this pretty seriously. You should too. Hoping the State Department is watching. You ever heard of the Iran Experts Initiative, or the IEI? Probably not, because this administration has moved heaven and earth to make sure you haven't heard of it. But according to that same article, quote, the officials working under the moderate President Hassan Rouhani congratulated themselves on the impact of the initiative. At least 3 of the people on the foreign ministry's list were or became top aides to Robert Malley, the Biden administration's special envoy to Iran that was just had his security clearance suspended. 3 weeks ago, the Washington Times reported that lawmakers were even super interested in this too. Again, this all happened 2 weeks before the deadliest day for the Jewish community since the Holocaust. Who was at the top of Congress's list that day? This woman, Ari Tabatabai, the current, yes, and she is, if you can believe it, still serving as the chief of staff for the Assistant Secretary of Defense for Special Operations, who, according to this article, on April 14th, 2015, Saeed K, we'll call him, who is an Iranian diplomat, by the way, attached 10 separate Word documents to this email, each referencing the media footprint of each IEI academic. These included Ariana Tabatabai. Think about that. And according to some of the same Iranian government email documents that we were obtained by Semaphore, quote, Tabatabai, the current Pentagon official, by the way, folks, on at least 2 occasions checked in with Iran's foreign ministry before attending policy events, according to these same emails. And these are the ones that we know about. What the hell is a U.S. senior Pentagon official with a top secret security clearance updating Iran's foreign ministry on meetings with other world leaders for? Come on. But this IEI wasn't only placing themselves in the government, they were in our universities. They were in our media, too. Where do you think a bunch of Harvard students got the idea to support a bunch of terrorists over Israel, who happens to be the #1 enemy of Iran? Bet this has something to do with it. The article went on. According to the same Iranian emails reviewed, quote, the IEI participants were prolific writers of op-eds and analyses. They provided insights on television and Twitter, regularly touting the need for a compromise with Tehran on the nuclear issues. It went on. Tabatabai, the same woman in the Defense Department right now, shared a link with Mustafa Zarini, an article that she published in the Boston Globe that outlined the, quote, 5 myths about the Iran nuclear program. Who's Mustafa? Well, he's just the head of the Tehran-based think tank that essentially works for the Iranian Foreign Ministry. Nothing to see here. You see why they don't want to admit Iran had anything? It would implicate themselves at the top levels of our own U.S. government. Just to be clear, Tabatabai is still the chief of staff for the Assistant Secretary of Defense. She wrote a piece in an American media publication in favor of the Iran nuclear deal, sent it to Iranian officials while she was working for our government. This is ridiculous. But just for comparison, Hillary Clinton has been crying for 7 years about a few $100,000 of Facebook ads that the Russians put out in 2016 election. But not a word on Iran trying to influence the world through a very sophisticated PSYOPs campaign to allow them to get a nuke. You see why I don't trust Democrats? This is why the Biden and the Obama administrations refuse to ever implicate Iran in any wrongdoing ever. This administration expects the world to believe that the people living in Gaza, the terrorists down there on the Gaza Strip, that according to a British study, by the way, this is not me saying this, it was conducted in 2015, said most of the people living in Gaza had an average IQ of 67.9. Just comparatively, most Western nations considering an IQ lower than 75 as borderline handicapped. So Biden administration wants me to believe that those people with a 67 IQ carried out a highly coordinated attack on Israel by air, land, and by sea without the help of someone else like Iran? Fat chance. Anthony Blinken, best friends with the guy who was put on leave for placing all these IEI people in the U.S. government, said this.
When it comes to this specific attack, in this moment, we don't have direct evidence that Iran was involved in the attack, either in planning it or carrying it out. But that could change.
Yeah, see how he left himself an out there? That could change. That's awful suspicious to me, Anthony. I guess my only question left is, what happened to the 60,000 pounds of ammonium nitrate that went missing for an unknown cause from a train in April here in America? Kind of a serious question given the current threat, since that is more than actually 12 times as much used in the Oklahoma City bombing. Maybe the FBI and CIA can get on that instead of Trump supporters.